What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl. It's your girl, Shy Rosalind. How's everybody doing tonight? I know it's Friday. People are out and about. But as I promised, I'm doing a reaction to my video that I posted the other day. Um, so welcome. Please like, subscribe. Sharing is caring. Subscribers are always appreciated. Likes are free, y'all. And yeah, share with a friend or two or three. And it would be greatly appreciated. So I did a video not too long ago, about a week ago, about the church drama area of these YouTube streets. And I'm doing a reaction. Yeah, I'm reacting to my own video. Um and I'm doing a reaction. So if you had questions about the video or comments, respectful comments, um, feel free to jump in. The chat is open. And, we'll talk about what we find as we go along. So, without further ado, let us get started. I'm already sharing the screen, so let me jump in here and whoops. Let's do it this way. Let me see if I can do it from here. Okay, I have to do it this way. I will never get used to sharing screens. I never get it right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's your girl, Shy Rosalind, and welcome to another episode of It Happened One Night. It Happened One Night is an extension of the YouTube Street Guide, in which I travel these YouTube streets as a humble but curious member of the YouTube family. And I come across different types of situations along these YouTube streets, and I present them to you as a cautionary tale of what could possibly go wrong or go right along these streets, as they call them. So, tonight we're going to discuss the church drama flowchart. Okay, so just as a quick aside, um, this topic was suggested by one of the channels that I follow. The host actually said, "I need I can't keep track of all this church drama," and I put in the chat, maybe we should get a flow chart, and he said, "That's a good idea. Go for it." So that's where this idea came from. Excuse me. Mm. And that's where the idea came from, to do the church drama flowchart. It is nowhere complete. There are branches of different people all over the place. Mm, excuse me, y'all. But yeah, that's where the idea came from. There has been a lot of church drama going on amongst these YouTubers, and tonight we're going to talk about a few of them. And as always, a little bit of housekeeping. There, copyright disclaimer. And before we delve into the flowchart, I wanted to talk a little bit about both. So, church drama is basically some kind of a scandal which could become public, might not limited to, but may include financial malfeasance, mistreatment of members, deliberate misinterpretation of the scripture, um, or bullying of church members or staff. An example would probably be the infamous Keon, I forgot his last name, Henderson, there we go. His telling the woman in the choir to hush. And then I think it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago. She was in the audience. That tells you something. She was no longer on the choir, but he apologized to her and asked for a hug. And once again, she started wailing, and I've never seen a minister move so fast before in my life. But also another example of church drama, the lovely Kim Burrell, "Let Your Mask Work for You." I I don't need to say anymore. Church hurt. Speaking of Miss Burrell, um, she was singing at I believe it was a church. I'm not sure exactly where the church was, and she kind of did it again. She started singing. The people in the audience started to sing along, and she insisted that she had to start the song by herself, which she did. And then I saw another clip where same spot, same church, she invited the audience to sing with her, and they didn't show the audience, but from the sound, maybe half the audience joined in. So yeah, she might have gotten a taste of her own medicine. I thought when I saw that, I thought it was hysterical. Oops. So let's just keep going. Um, okay. However, it's a little more intense, serious, however you want to take it. Church hurt is a term used to describe emotional, mental, spiritual, or physical pain someone may experience in a church setting. It can be caused by the actions or inactions of a church leader, congregation member, or other church representative. So, for example, if someone has been harassed by another member of the congregation and the church leadership does nothing about it or says nothing about it, that would be church hurt. An extreme example, of course, we've seen in the news a couple of pastors have had to give up their position because they abused someone um, in the congregation. And in one case, the person at the time of the abuse was underage. And that person, of course, is now suffering with the effects of that, even though they're grown. So, um, those are the two church. And then there's another example that's fairly recent. It's not, I'm not sure if it's considered church hurt. Well, it probably could be. There is a husband and wife um, pastoral team, and the wife was fled fled Texas, went to Florida. There's a lot of questions whether the wife was hurt by who knows who and fled to Florida. And there's questions as to whether um she's in her right mind, and it's a mess, y'all. And then there's an estranged daughter that's trying to stay out of it, but she keeps getting pulled into it. Yeah, that's some serious church hurt and drama combined. Church drama and church hurt. And church drama could lead to church hurt. Just um just to let you know. So, this particular flowchart is in regards to a particular person. It took me a while to figure out who was who and what was what. I might be missing some pieces to the puzzle, but this time we're going to explore the whole Larry Reed. I don't want to say phenomenon, but the whole Larry Reed scandal, I guess it would be. Um, but let's just cover the basics tonight. We we can talk about the more details at a later time. What I am going to do, I am presenting this video as is tonight, and will probably do a as I'm doing tonight is the reaction. Um, and as far as the this flow chart, like I said, there are other people that could have been included in this chart, but um there's just so much to unravel, and there's a lot of history. I mean, some of these differences go back to like almost 2015 or so, and that was before I even started delving into YouTube. So I'm sure there's stuff that I'm missing. Um, if anyone wants to expound, feel free to do so. Um, this just this Larry Reed situation alone is it was mind boggling. Reaction to my own video as I've done before. So you take your time, watch it, questions, comments, throw them in, and then when I do the reaction, um, I can see your questions and talk about it. Or if you have something to add, feel free. I can bring that up when I do the reaction as well. So here's the general scheme of it all. Larry Reed is sort of the center of it. And then he has allies and non allies. I've only mentioned a few of them because I only had so much room on on the page. Um, but I'm sure there's some people that I haven't really fleshed out, and we can do that on the reaction. So Larry Reed is a self-proclaimed prophet, and I'll talk about more about him in a minute. We have Archbishop Bernard Jordan, who is his mentor. We have William McRae, which is he's I like to call him an occasional ally. Sometimes they're on good terms, sometimes they're not. Then we have King Jives, which I will talk about him a little bit more. Conscious TV, I don't know that much about him. I only know a little bit. So if someone wants to fill me in on this person, feel free. And V. Terrell Hill, the person who famously aired his whistleblower video in February. I'm going to talk about him as well. So the center of it all, Larry. Larry D. Reed is an online self-proclaimed prophet. Yeah, and excuse the typos. I'm seeing typos now. yeah, he claims to be a prophet. He has um basically he doesn't have like a brick and mortar church. Everything is done online. Um, he constantly asks for seeds, and seeds, as what I talked about in the previous video. Um, he his as I mentioned in this video as well, his goal is to go international. Um, Not sure why, but yeah, he is a character to say the least. What let's listen a little bit more about him. Oops. He is the founder of the NBN network. He considers himself a church critic, believing that brick and mortar churches will fall by the wayside, which I really have a problem with because I don't see that happening. He is a strictly online. ministry, and please put that in quotes. His online show is called Larry Reed Live, which includes um, a little celebrity gossip, some church gossip. He says that he does not discuss scandals unless it's already public. So if there's a court case or if the person involved in the scandal has spoken out on their own, then he discusses it. Otherwise, he doesn't. Um, yeah. And I have talked about him before regarding my videos about tithing. Please check those out if you like. One has been moved to Patreon. One is still up on YouTube. If you so the reason Hey V, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Heading to the clouds. Oh, okay. Um, safe travels, I guess. Yeah, no, I have to catch up with you with your channel too. I gotta catch up on your last two lives. I'm sure they were good. So everyone, please follow and check out VS Speaks Royally, but all things Harry and Meghan. Her lives are a lot of fun. The people are really cool, and you won't be disappointed if you follow her channel. So, but I'm glad to see you, V. Hang out as long as you can, and hopefully I will catch up with you over the weekend. We're just getting into it, talking about Larry Reed and the King of Tides, and actually, speaking of tides, he had his event in July, and I talk about this on another video. And he had pledges. So people were pledging stuff, and most people said they were going to pay by the end of the year, December 31st. Um and I should have grabbed the shoot, I took a screenshot. Somebody in the Patreon said that they were having surgery, so they gave what they could, and they said they probably won't be able to pay the rest until after the holidays. And his response was, um, pay it by the 31st, step out in faith. I'm like, are you kidding me? The person just said they're having surgery. They're not going to be able to work for 2-3 months. And you're telling them to give you their pledge by the 31st? So yeah, this guy's full of work. He's a piece of work. Whoops. Let's talk about him a little bit more. If you'd like to join my Patreon, shameless plug, please do. And this video will eventually be added to my Patreon as well. So just this is a little shameless plug. His fans / people who tithe are called LRLers. Um, it's difficult to determine how many members he has. His YouTube, he doesn't he doesn't release likes on his videos, so it's hard to tell how many people have been hitting the like button. His Patreon does not disclose how many people he has in his Patreon. Um, I I can kind of give an estimate from my previous video that I did about tithing and what he collected. You can take a guess from that, but that may have fluctuated a little bit. Another thing about Larry Reed himself, this particular year, he is on a push to go international. He apparently loves Dubai. He has trips planned for his Celestial Circle members for Ghana, Barcelona, and back to Dubai. In order to be part of his Celestial Circle, you have to donate. Sorry, y'all. I have to jump in here. I saw something on, I think it was Instagram, and they were talking to a woman who lives in the United Arab Emirates, and she was talking about financial stuff, and she says, I have my own money. My husband takes care of most of the things, most of the household things, but I do have my own money. So if I want to buy something for myself, I don't have to bother him, this, that, and the other. And she mentioned that the average 20 something year old just getting out of school, first job, they would probably earn about, I think somebody worked it out to like 6,000 US a month, which in the grand scheme of things isn't really that much, because she said if you are married and you have two children, 6,000 a month is barely enough to get by, and it's not cheap over there. There's this misconception that the United States is really expensive and everywhere else is cheap, and that's not necessarily the case. So why he keeps running back to Dubai and saying that he loves Dubai, we'll just have to see what he gonna do when he actually gets over there again. But it's not a cheap place to live. If you're not already wealthy, it can be difficult. A minimum of $2,024, and that's no guarantee that you will be picked to be in the circle. His celestial circles, usually people who donate $10,000 or more, from what I have been able to find out. Um, and I can talk about that at length because I do have some additional financial information, just from my own research. No no statement from the accountant, just my own research. um yeah, so yeah. And the other thing I have a problem with Larry Reed is him insisting um that storefront churches and brick and mortar churches are going by the wayside. I don't believe that. I see it in my own community. The brick and mortar churches are doing fine. Some provide online services and in person, um, and the attendance is good, both ways. The churches in my neighborhood, in my community, are flourishing. They're giving back to the community, so you can actually see what the churches are doing. Unlike, um, unlike this guy, you don't know what he's doing in the community. He claims that he donates stuff and that he helps people in the community. Have yet to see hide no hair of it happening. Um, before I forget, the picture on the upper right is from it's from an Instagram live he did with what's his name? Whitehead, when that first scandal broke out. So yeah, I couldn't resist. I had to pick that picture. I don't hear anybody talking about NBN giving out turkeys or, you know, grocery store gift cards at Thanksgiving. I don't hear that. So I don't know who he's donating to. And I don't see any community person saying, "Oh, thank you to the NBN network for helping us with our clothing drive," or, helping us with our homeless drive. I don't see any of them doing that. So if they are, I don't know about it. So he is the main person. Also, he's had issues with the infamous Bishop Whitehead, which is where the picture on the top right of your screen came from. He had issues with him. He sued Bishop Whitehead. He won, but of course he's not going to get any money because the great Bishop Whitehead is now serving 9 years in prison. But he's knocked heads with him. He's the subject of Vincent Terrell's whistleblower video. Um, he has had issues with Tasha K. He's had issues with well, he's had issues with people, but he is the center of this particular small, very small section of the YouTube universe. And speaking of the Archbishop Bernard Jordan, he is Larry Reed's mentor. He often appears on Larry Reed Live. He does prophecy shows or prophetic shows every couple months with Larry Reed. When Larry Reed had that trouble after the Vincent Terrell Hill um, video, he came on and he immediately said we should support Larry, and we can support him best by giving a seed. Let's do a seed. Yeah. So Bernard Jordan does not appear on Larry Reed Live without asking or telling people to give a seed. Um, Little side note: Archbishop Jordan got part of his start preaching at a church in my, well, not my immediate neighborhood, but in a nearby section of my neighborhood. There is a church on Jamaica Avenue that used to be a movie theater. It used to be called the Valencia, and it was converted into a church some years ago, and he preached there a few times before moving on to Reverend Ike's tutelage. And when I heard that, I was like, figures. Got his hustle started on Jamaica Avenue, where everyone gets their hustle started. He just doesn't. That's his thing. He has to have a seed. Not necessarily preach the word, but he has to have a seed. Whether it's in his own church, which I believe is the church that was formerly Reverend Ike's, if I'm not mistaken. He was also mentored, Bernard Jordan was mentored by Reverend Ike. So, seeds are his thing. He is the king of seeds. Um, he was elevated to, or yeah, he was elevated to Archbishop in the summer of 2024. Um, Summer or late spring, actually, of 2024. The ceremony itself was very interesting. I think the one part that everybody remembers is somebody blowing a shofar and did not know how to do it properly, and the person sounded like a fool. The other memorable part of this elevation ceremony, which they basically ripped off the Catholic Church, but I'll get into that in a moment. Um, he, yeah, and I forgot to get into it. Basically, they had the ceremony elevating Bernard Jordan was similar to how after the Pope is chosen, they have the mass and they give him his robes and all that. And it was straight out of a Catholic mass. I all these bishops and whatnot in their robes, and some of them had their mitres on their head, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, this looks like when they select the Pope. And yeah, it was straight out of a Catholic Catholic Church thing, and I thought it was really interesting. And then, of course, as I mentioned in this video, $1,000 just to attend, and then if you wanted a prophecy, it was 10 grand. I tell you, the hustle is real. It was $1,000 just to get a ticket to the celebratory dinner. $1,000 a plate. When they showed the dinner, I didn't see any food on any of the plates. So I don't know whether the food was good or not. I hope it was. Then, as another part of the dinner, he would, of course, he offered to do prophecies for a lovely small donation of $10,000 at his own elevation dinner. So if you gave $10,000, he gave you a prophecy. I said this man don't go nowhere without asking for a seed. I'm not kidding. He also requested seeds at Larry Reid's event in July, the Reformation, which is the annual event that Larry Reid puts on in Atlanta every July. And of course, he was there. And of course, he asked for seeds and he offered prophecies for a minimum of $10,000. And as I discussed before on my video about SeedCon, as I like to call it, um, the smaller the donation, the quicker the prophecy. Um, and they wanted a minimum. I believe the minimum they were asking people for was, I think it was 2,000 or something they were looking for. But of course, if you came up with less, they took it. Anyhow, Jordan is occasionally referred to as America's Black Prophet. There is a documentary, I believe it's still floating around on YouTube about him. As I mentioned, he was the mentee of the infamous Reverend Ike. That picture at the bottom left is him back in the day when he first got started. I did not know he had dreads. I saw that picture and I said, "Ooh, I must have this picture." Um, Unlike Larry Reid, however, Jordan does have a divinity degree. I don't have the name of the school off the top of my head. Now, just because you have a divinity degree does not mean that you're not a hustler. I guess he just wanted to make the hustle a little more legitimate. So he did obtain his divinity degree. But he does actually have a divinity degree. He created, and he and his wife run what's called Zoe Ministries. And if you go and look at their YouTube and you check out one of their online shows, it's always a seed, always a seed. Yeah. Anyway, let me get off this before I go into another rant. But he, like I said, he is the king of seeds. He is constantly asking for seeds. Anywhere he appears, he says, "We must sow a seed." Um, and his son Manasseh Jordan, I didn't include him in this video um, because of constraints, but he has also been in the Larry Reid orbit every now and then. Um, so maybe one of these days we'll talk about him. So this brings us to the infamous William McRae III. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Um. Okay. I came across a photo which I screenshot. It's on my Instagram of this gentleman wearing a beaded bracelet similar to Jamal Bryant. And I'm like, okay, I would like to offer more men's accessories, but he is not the type of man that I want to market to. And here he is wearing beads. I don't know. I just don't know. But yeah, I think my men's line might not go in the direction where someone like William McRae would wear my stuff. I That's the kind of advertising I don't think I would want. I'm going to be saying infamous a lot because they all are. The picture in the upper right hand corner is what William McRae used to look like back in the day. I found this by accident. The picture on the left hand side, which I'm sorry it's not clear, but it's a screenshot from Larry Reid's event, is what William McRae looks like now. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to try to be nice and balanced. So I'm not going to say what I thought that just came into my head, but he for some reason has gone under a very deep transformation. So he is an occasional ally of Larry Reid. Sometimes they get along, they kiki and hee and hoot and holler together, and sometimes they don't speak for months. He claims to be the first church critic, but his criticism is known as being mostly gossip, particularly in the Church of God in Christ, or Kojic. I don't know anything about that denomination, but apparently that's where he is from, that denomination. And he tends to just talk about people and air scandals, even if he doesn't have all the facts right, which I think has gotten him into trouble. Now, I don't know if anybody out there can explain this Kojic thing. I think it's similar to Pentecostal, but I'm not sure. And it seems these church critics and church gossips, I won't say all, but most of them seem to come from that denomination. So I don't know if it's something in the communion wafer or in the wine when they have communion. I don't know what it is, but this particular denomination seems to have their share of a lot of trouble. Um, Lots of controversy follows him. He's been accused of, among other things, refusing to apologize for damaging a rental vehicle, which is why he has an issue with King Jives, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Um, his latest controversy is filming a woman who was attending a church service. He filmed her from the back so she didn't know she was being filmed. And you can see him in the video telling the usher that she should be in a modesty, put a modesty sheet on her. Her skirt's too tight. And this guy was jumping up and down in the church in a powder blue suit with a matching hat, and his pants were about 2 sizes too tight. But he was criticizing this young lady that he never knew, never met before. So, yeah, everybody kind of jumped on him for that. And yes, there are other things that he has been known for. Now, um, it's not the first time that someone has mentioned that William McRae tends to run around in clothes that either don't fit or don't look right. He and Larry Reid tend to wear a lot of brands like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. But it's not the understated version of the fashion. It's the outward the outward ones, the outward pieces with the brand or the initials like in your face. And to me, to wear that kind of clothing and say, hey, I'm wearing this brand while the brand is out there, it's like, okay, you're flaunting, and truly wealthy people don't flaunt brands. They may buy some pieces and wear them for special occasions, but they don't flaunt them like these two. Very, very interesting, this bunch. But basically, he's sometimes an ally of Larry Reed, sometimes he's not. He has chopped it up with other church bloggers here and there. Um, but um, the word on the YouTube street is that people tend to avoid him a little bit because he just doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut. So that brings us to the well, I'm not going to use infamous this time. Vincent Terrell Hill, or V. Terrell Hill. Say how you want to say it. He was Larry Reed's right hand man for almost 15 years. He is known at the moment for posting a whistleblower video. He did it in February of 2024. And it was a very intense, in depth, vivid account of his intimate time with Larry Reed. So, regarding Vince V. Terrell Hill, or Vincent, um, he he seems to be recovering still from his experiences with Larry Reed, and it shows. But, and I say it in this video, and I'm gonna say it again. I still recommend his channel. Um, it has some elements that Larry Reed has, but I still prefer his channel because it's in a different direction. Um, I suggest, if you are curious, look it up. It's on his YouTube page still. Um, he did it in two parts, I believe, maybe three, and I've watched it twice, and the first time I watched it, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The second time I watched it to make sure I was hearing what I thought I was hearing, um, it creeped me out a little bit. I will admit, and um, it's intense, y'all. I'm just giving you a heads up. It's intense, but it did shed quite a bit of light on some of the inner workings and questions and problems with Larry Reed because, well, let me go back just a little bit. Larry Reed was accused of um, mistreating three young men, one of whom may or may not have been underage at the time, but they waited until a few years went past before they came forward. Two of them went to Tasha K, and she interviewed them. And that's kind of how the whole ball got rolling. People started looking into Larry Reed. Some people didn't believe the accusers, some people didn't believe Larry, and it was back and forth for quite some time. Um, there have been accusations of some of which there is some evidence for, of arranged marriages to keep someone in the country, um, uh, cheating on spouses, and cult like situation, especially. Yeah, this is why I'm suggesting that you watch Vincent's video for yourselves, because there was stuff that I can't say on my little channel. There's certain words that he says that I can't say on my little tiny channel because I can get in trouble. Which is why I did not do a reaction to his video because I would have to bleep some of it out. So I suggest y'all go over there and see. And that will give you the background or at least the starting point of this particular YouTube street issue, especially within the inner group of Larry Reed's setup. And Vincent Terrell Hill was part of that inner working. He actually was the one who started the whole Larry Reed Live. He claims that it was his idea. He was the one that kind of set up the whole Larry Reed Live system, and Larry just went with it. And when he left, obviously he left, and it's kind of he's the one that sort of got everything started. So, um, he has moved on. Vincent has moved on. He has created what's called Safe Space, and he calls himself a soul healer. I like to call what he set up as a soul healing consultancy. He has some things that are similar to Larry Reed. The call this number, text this no, text V Terrell Hill to this number, and you'll know when I go live. He has a healing community. It's not Patreon, but it is a private community. You pay a certain amount per month, and they have online chats that are private and things of that nature. The one thing that's different, he Vincent offers tarot card readings. I'm a little when it comes to the tarot cards. I think that you're kind of risking a little bit. You're risking a little bit much when you mess with them tarot cards. Yeah, and Larry Reed and Bernard Jordan are into numerology. 8 seems to be their favorite number. Anything with eights, like 888 or $444 or 5888. 8 seems to be their favorite number. So you've got Vincent Terrell Hill with the tarot cards, and Larry Reed and Bernard Jordan with the numerology, and I think Larry also gets into horoscopes. Take everything that those two do with several grains of salt. That's all I'm saying. Um, but yeah. Other than that, I really think he has an interesting take on topics. He's funny as hell. Every time I watch one of his videos, I laugh. Um, and he covers, the usual celebrity stuff and the church stuff. He's had a couple of people interviewed, and the interviews actually he's a good interviewer. I do enjoy his interviews. So, and I've recommended his channel before because it's interesting. Um, and hey, some people do the tarot card thing. That's their thing. Not exactly my thing, but hey, whatever works, whatever seems to work. The one thing tarot cards the only interest I have in tarot cards are the designs on the back of the card, because I think some of the artwork, tarot cards have some of the most amazing artwork I've seen. But other than that, no, I don't need no reading, babe. But you do you. But yeah, so his February video was the video that kind of just blew things up a little bit because it went into a lot more detail. There were things that people were assuming, were guessing, but he literally had stuff on tape, so to speak. So that's kind of where, once that came out, that's where Larry Reed kind of freaked out. He had Archbishop Jordan on, and these archbishops telling everyone to sow seed, let's support Larry. And then Larry dashes off to vacation, and he starts bragging on Instagram. I'm still getting cash apps. I'm still getting Venmos. I ain't worrying about nothing. I ain't worrying about nothing. Y'all ain't talking about nothing. It all started with Vincent's video. That's kind of what kicked it into gear. Um, yeah. So cheers to Vincent for moving on. And again, check out his channel. He has some interesting guests, and he's funny. I'm telling you, if you're feeling like if you're having a bad day, and there have been days where it's been rough for me, and I watch one of his episodes, and I get a laugh out of it, and it's worth it. So I do want to touch on these two folks. Like I said, there's some other people that would probably fall into the flow chart, but we can discuss that when I do the reaction. King Jives and Conscious TV. Now, King Jives had an issue with Larry back. Well, he's had issues, I think, with Larry Reed for a while. I've only seen like two or three of his shows when he was cussing out William McRae. So I haven't really delved into King Jives before that. But I do know that he had an issue with Larry Reed concerning the three young men that came forward. I believe King Jive sided with the young men, um, and Larry Reed did not appreciate that. Um, and King Jives and William McRae definitely are not getting along because he was upset at what he did to the young lady in the church. And then one of his friends had loaned one of King Jive's. Okay, and another person I need to uh throw in that had a big issue with Larry Reed is a gentleman by the name of Daryl Moore. Um, there are lawsuits flying back and forth. Um, I think he had a lawsuit with Larry Reed at one point. Um, and I think I mentioned in this video as well that he had an issue with Conscious TV. So the lawsuits are still flying about. And King Jives actually just settled, I believe, a lawsuit with a bishop, not not Jordan, but another bishop. Um, the bishop actually went after him, claiming that he was saying things that weren't true, and they ended up in mediation, and the mediation was sealed, so I have no idea what happened. But I think I think what I heard last week was that King Jive started talking about the mediation, and which was a violation of the conditions. So now the bishop is exercising his right to come after him um, monetary problems, not problems, but monetary punishment. So we shall see what happens when the dust settles on all of these lawsuits. I don't know if it's a friend of his or what, but he one of the people came on his show to talk about how they helped William McRae get the rental van, but then William didn't tell them about the rental van, like what he was actually using it for, and then the rental van ended up getting damaged, and the person wanted their money back that they lent William to rent the van, and William said no. So he's been tearing William McRae up every chance he gets. Um, there were at least 2 episodes, probably 3, where he just went in on William McRae for like an hour. um, so I know there's an issue there. I think he still has some issue with Larry Reed because he calls him Lucretia, and he has an issue with somebody else. I don't. I'm not going to say the name of the person, name of the blogger, because I really don't know that person. I haven't watched anything on that person's channel, so King Dodge is he crazy. And then there's Conscious TV. Um, I know very little about him as well. I've watched maybe 2 or 3 episodes of his when he's supporting Larry Reed um against yeah, he was supporting Larry Reed when Larry was in another lawsuit with someone by the name of Daryl, which in itself is a video. Apparently still waters are running real deep over there, and there's lawsuits involved with this gentleman, Conscious, and Daryl, as well as Larry. And I think Larry and Daryl, I think that lawsuit was settled. I'm not sure. I'm still trying to figure out the timeline on that. But there's apparently a lawsuit between Conscious and Daryl, and that's supposedly coming to an end. I don't know if it's settlement or what. I have to delve into that a little bit more, but yeah, these two are definitely worth keeping an eye on. Um, the one episode I did watch of Conscious, he it was disturbing to me because he was basically trying to put a curse on, was it Daryl? I think it was Daryl, and the language he was using, it was very I don't want to say demonic, but he was calling on some spirits in that episode, and I kind of, after that I've been avoiding that channel, because some it just didn't sit right with me, so I've been avoiding him. But he is one to kind of watch out for. Um, if anybody has any background on this guy and they want to talk about it when I do the replay, you're more than welcome to, because education is the key. And the more you know, the better it is to avoid. So fill me in if you want. Um, I am going to do a financial update. Um, I Yeah, regarding the financial update on Larry Reed, I am obviously I'm no longer in his Patreon. That ended as of September 30th. So the information I have is only through like the last week of September. So I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to add things up, create a spreadsheet, and do another update. But it's probably going to be the last financial update that I'll be able to do. So that will be coming. It takes a while for me to do the spreadsheets and convert them. So I don't know exactly when that update will be, but it will present some information through the third week of no, through September 25th or whatever that Friday was. So that will be at some point. Um, and then I'll do the usual. I'll put it up and I'll let it run here on YouTube for a bit, and then I'll move it to my Patreon. Yes, I have a Patreon now. Seems everybody has one, but yes, I have one, and I I priced it at $2 a month because you know. A lot of people on Patreon they want like $5, $10, $20 a month, and I'm like, I'm just starting. I don't want to make it so expensive. So it's $2 a month. There's two videos available right now. The next Larry Reed one I do will be number 3. And then I'll probably put some beating up there, beating stuff up there as well. Um, so I'm gonna add that. And then if I do any other deep dives, um, I'll put them here on YouTube first for a little bit, and then I'll move them to Patreon. So what you're seeing right now is how to reach me, my Instagram, my Patreon, and asking people as always to like and subscribe. Subscribers are always appreciated. Likes are free, sharing is caring, and don't don't sit at the computer all day, y'all. Go outside. Take a walk in the park. Free yourself. Be delivered. Get outside, get some sunshine, get some vitamin D. And once you get all that done, come back and visit my channel again. And visit some other channels that I've mentioned in this video. They are my favorites, and I post a lot of my favorites on my community wall. So, if I see a video that might be interesting, I will share it there. And I will be doing beat and chat tomorrow night. What I'll be doing, I don't know. I think I'm going to finish the necklace that I started last week. I'm going to finish that up, and then we'll figure out what we're going to talk about, and that will be tomorrow night. So I hope you guys can join me there. And then, just as a side note, I will be attending the New York Bead Show. This year it will be held in Chelsea. I believe it's 18th Street and 6th Avenue. I'll post the details. I have it somewhere. I'll post them. But I will be going. I'll probably be going that Friday. It's Friday the 18th or the 19th, whatever that Friday is, and Saturday and Sunday. So I will probably go Friday because it's less crowded, and I don't the first day of the show is usually, kind of the prices are what they are. The last day of the show, everything's half off. They're trying to get rid of stuff. But I'd rather go the first day of the show where everything's like, yay, it's all fresh and it's not picked through. But I'll talk about that tomorrow night on Beat and Chat. So I appreciate everyone watching. I know most people are probably going to catch the replay, and that's fine. Comments, questions are always welcome. V, if you're still listening, thank you for popping in. I appreciate you. I will do my best to catch. If you're live tomorrow, I'll do my best to catch it. And I'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow night for Beat and Chat. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I will see you all on the next one.